Nicholas, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you, Matt?
I'm doing great. I think we both had great holidays. You traveled a little bit, and I was home with family. But now we're in the new year. I wanted to ask you, did you make a New Year's resolution?
I'm pretty bad at resolution. So, no, I did do my goal for the year, but no really resolution. What about you?
I made a couple, and I've already blown them. And today
Oh,
is
no, don't
January
tell me
5th.
that.
So I need to start over. I need to start over.
What
But
was
let's
it
get
like
going
growing
today.
your beard or something? Because that is
That
actually,
it
or
could be.
shave maybe.
That's not one of my topics, but it could be.
Awesome. Well, let's go on. Hello and welcome to another episode of the VCommerce show. We are show number 8 and we are in 2024. Wow, just saying the number is actually I won't say scary, but it's weird, right? In some way, right? So welcome everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you all had wonderful holidays. You all enjoyed a lot of food, not too many drinks. It is dry January though, so make sure that you are taking it to heart. Actually, I am, which is really bad because actually tomorrow is my birthday. So dry January and the birthday all together. That's really a bad timing. I'm actually blaming my parents for that, or I should maybe blame the folks that invented the dry January. I don't know. So we're super happy to have you. I'm Nicholas, your co-host. I'm with Extremely, the guy that gets you on live stream and video commerce on your website. And my good friend Matt is with me, and also the co-host with E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC and HSN. How are you, Matt?
Wonderful, Nicholas. It's been a few weeks. We got to dust off the rust, but I'm excited to talk about what things are happening and everything happening in the video commerce space today. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you say, a little bit rusty. Honestly, we didn't even start on time. We had to figure out like where are the buttons and all that. But super excited to be here. Honestly.
I know. So just for those who are new to our show, again, this is only our 8th week on the VCommerce podcast, but this is a show about video commerce. It's something that Nicholas and I hold near and dear. It's kind of what we do for a living. Video commerce started with QVC and HSN selling product through video, and it's become a video commerce dynamic, selling through television, internet, social media sites, and all of that. So hopefully you'll learn a couple things from our conversation today, maybe have a little bit of fun. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions or ideas about the show or comments, please let us know. But otherwise, let's get started, Nicholas.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the listeners, you can absolutely comment and chat with us. Even share the that we are here, and because we are here for you. We are here for us as well because this is such a fun moment of the day and of the week for us. So the first news that I wanted to bring up was reported that on an article that I read recently. It's about the Gen Z, and guess what? The Gen Z. What's very interesting about Gen Z is that brands have more and more challenge to actually reach out to Gen Z because they don't really communicate through emails much. And so what's happening is brands have to go into communities to actually reach out to Gen Z. And for the listeners that may have heard that over the past on the podcast, but one of the big trend that is happening in China is that actually in China they have to create brand communities because no one has access to really emails, and so people are flocking communities where brands are creating communities where they kind of engage in a direct conversation with their customers. And the fact that actually Gen Z brands have to do a similar exercise, I found it fascinating. Obviously, it's for a different purpose, right? In China, the email is more like a cultural things, more like maybe etatic restriction and stuff. Where here it's more an evolution, demographic evolution, I would say. I just found it fascinating, and Gen Z is a big spender, right? There's 450 billion spending power. So you better know how to communicate with them, and that is really creating trouble for marketers.
That's interesting to me because I've got one of those kids in my house, and my wife and I were just talking about the cost of everyone's phones these days and how much we're spending on phone activity and all that kind of thing. And if they're not even using the phones for texting, they certainly don't use the phones for calling unless there's an emergency. I guess they're just on social media through their phones. So this
Yeah.
is fascinating to me
Yeah.
as a trend. And I'm not sure exactly what the direction would be for businesses that are going after this consumer.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. What's there are apps like Discord. I don't know if you know Discord. This is the apps for gamers, and they have 196 million active users. So it's when you think, like, I think Twitter is about 300. It's pretty high substantial numbers. Um, and brand like Wendy's, Gucci, Sephora have created community on Discord, which is fascinating. There are also some groups apps like Geneva, that is one of the company that launched VCommerce, and some others that are creating community, specific community or circle, for instance, are creating community where brands can join in. And then obviously, I'm sure you may have WhatsApp, and WhatsApp has this community group. And on community, it's really fascinating. I personally I think I have a lot of community on my own WhatsApp. Like, I think I have more community on my WhatsApp than have contact. So it's definitely getting there, and it's very active, honestly.
It is interesting because my teenager communicates a lot with his friends over the gaming community. So when he's
Yeah.
playing the games, that's when he talks to his friends. He doesn't call his friends up. And during COVID, that would be the only form of communication that he had with his friends. It was over gaming. So he gamed with a bunch of his friends. They would chit chat, kind of catch up with one another while playing the game. So I guess this is a natural evolution to that kind of thing, that kind of closed circuit, private group conversation dynamic. But it is pretty fascinating, and it will be fascinating to watch businesses, U.S. businesses, kind of chase this and see how they can make impact on this whole generation.
Yeah, and not to make a highlight on the VCommerce and how this impact, but like, one of the great way to create community is actually to create video content, especially live streaming, because live stream really create these moments where people can engage with each other, and the chat is really a place for creating community. So just a quick highlight, and in our world, how does that relate? But I'd love to hear your news of the week.
Well, you know what? I wanted to talk about something that my wife was fascinated by. Santa Claus brought her a Stanley cup, an insulated cup that you could put hot or cold drinks on. Stanley is like 110-year-old company. So I didn't know about this phenomenon until Santa Claus brought my wife a cup. She was over the moon about it. It hasn't left her hands since Christmas Day. Then I started looking things up. Stanley, which is a long time, 110-year-old company. So this is a screwdriver and hammer kind of a company that lives in Home Depot and Lowe's and those kind of places. And they were a $73 million company in 2019. 73 million. In 2023, they were anticipating to be a $750 million brand.
Wow.
It's amazing. And it's all surrounding this cup. So along with the growth, they're partnering with Starbucks. They got this pink cup, which is only available at Target, that keeps selling out. Customers can't find it. I am just fascinated by the whole dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter was craving for Stanley cup for almost 3 months, and Santa brought one to her, so she was all ecstatic about it. So I honestly don't know much about it. When I saw the cup, I'm like, is that what it is? Really? Like, they'd be like, what's the difference with this one, which you had for maybe a year or two?
I've probably got 10 different Yetis in my cabinet, and
Oh
now
my God.
my wife doesn't leave the house.
You old school. I'm sorry.
I'm totally old school. But you know what this story taught me and kind of opened my eyes to is, like, sometimes brands just need a different audience to grow. Yeah. It's not the quality of the product or what they do. It's just finding another audience. So obviously Stanley, which is a long-term, I would say, male-oriented, mechanical type of, building material-esque male brand, found a niche with a female audience, and it's blown up. And the story I read was the CEO said, why don't we make these cups in colors? And they did different colors and different dynamics with a female slant to it, and it blew up. So the lesson I learned was, sometimes you don't need a new product. You just need a new audience. So don't restrict yourself to just the lanes that you're driving in. Open yourself up to other ways.
That's fascinating, and I'm sure there's a moment of virality that also probably happened with this product, because like for it to be such a craze, like I mean, in schools they are talking about that. My daughter was telling me, in the when there's recess time, people are comparing their Stanley with each other. So there's definitely a moment in time, right? So there's
Yeah.
probably had been like some TikTok video and some stuff like that. I'm pretty positive about that. But there was some kind of ignition factor, and it will be interesting maybe for a future show. Let's figure it out, like how that the color by itself was probably interesting, but there's probably something that make that spark. So I'd love to find out.
I agree.
Absolutely. So my news of the week, talking about TikTok, is actually something that came up recently. Ethan Kramer, a guy that actually I recommend following on LinkedIn, is really an awesome guy. We had it on the podcast. Really, really skilled guy in the marketing space, especially around video commerce and live stream shopping. He's like a TikTok guru, and he just informed like a couple hours ago that the TikTok seller fee in 2024 are going to increase. Now, I'd love for folks to look at that fee here, and I put it up on the screen. It was 2 point plus 0.30 cents per order, and now it's moving to 8%. Now, if you really if you're like, oh wow, that's crazy and everything, but think about it, right? 2% plus 30 cents, that's barely the cost of the transaction fee, right, of the credit card. So they were actually not charging anything, and they're moving to 8%. Basically what's happening is that they're going to take a 5% cut on the transactional sales, which it's not, I don't think it's really crazy, honestly. But yeah, it's 8%. What's interesting is that TikTok is actually going to be a little bit more expensive than Meta. But remember, Meta is not having in-video checkout, or neither in checkout in app. And obviously they will be cheaper than Amazon. But I just found it fascinating. And I don't know for you, but TikTok sales have blown away recently. I don't have the latest numbers. I am looking for every newsletter that I can find out, or any articles to understand where the sales are. But I will not be surprised that they had a killing of December, because from people I've talked to, they all told me that. So TikTok is a great place. Now, TikTok, is that right for your brand? That's another question. We actually wrote an article about that, because one of the challenges with TikTok is very much like was Amazon. It's completely anonymized data that you're getting. And on top of that, the integration of the TikTok shop with your e-com is very challenging. So you have to, it doesn't flow very directly. So, it's actually, you have to print the label for the product you send. So if you're if you're at scale and sending at scale, it's going to be difficult. I'm pretty sure they're going to improve on that. But right now, the TikTok is really much meant for small brands that are trying to sell. But it's fascinating.
I think so too. And it doesn't surprise me that their pricing has gone up. It's kind of following the Amazon method of how they sold books in the very beginning. They sold books dirt cheap or almost for free. And then they owned the book category. And then they basically put bookstores out of business because they sold the product so cheap. So TikTok coming in low, trying to build an audience. And remember, they just started in September.
Yeah.
TikTok Shop started in September. They have 1 billion with a B monthly users on the site. That is an amazing dynamic and an amazing opportunity to sell product, and they're just starting. So it doesn't surprise me they're having a little bit of hiccups. I've said before, like you mentioned, the customer experience or the delivery aspect of getting product from TikTok is kind of rough these days. That doesn't surprise me at all. The dynamic of shipping product is an integrated, active, busy whole world of logistics. And you do need someone, you need people that know they understand the logistic world to go, for the customer experience to be positive. So this is all still fresh. They're a 3-month-old company, really a 3-month-old dynamic
in the U.S. market, though, because
in the U.S. market.
Yeah,
in the
obviously,
U.S. market. Right.
they're really big in Asia and China especially, and some other
Yes.
countries. But it is certainly fascinating aspect. The other, this is side apart, but as we talk about shipping and logistics, I don't know if you saw that, but in November, sorry, the Temu and Shein together were driving 5% year-over-year increase on global air cargo traffic. With another interesting stat, which was they contributed for 80% of air freight on certain days. So think about this, right? So those companies, so obviously we talk about TikTok and it's a reference to the Chinese market and all that, but Shein and Temu are trailing on the back, very close, and they're using air freight. And I don't know, I just think that there was an interesting, fascinating statistics. I think the word of e-com, the way we know it, is really changing, and it's changing really crazy fast. And I'm curious to see what this year is going to bring us, honestly.
Well, and we talked earlier in this conversation about versatility and not staying in the same lane. So, if TikTok pricings are going up, Meta, you don't really sell through directly. Consider selling your product directly from your own website. You own the customer data. You own the process of the customer experience. I think that should just be a part of the e-commerce experience for all companies, to have that opportunity to ship directly to their customer without going through a third-party platform. So speaking of all this, a hot topic in my head as the fourth quarter developed and we saw the craziness of the success of e-com and retail and the busyness of UPS and FedEx and all those logistical companies, the retail and e-commerce porch pirate dynamics are going through the roof, which makes logical sense, but a hard thing to swallow. So I was reading an article in 2022, retail stores took an $86.6 billion loss in 2022. Wow. They're forecasting in 2025 for retail to have $115 billion loss. And that comes from Capital One. So the retail thief or the retail theft dynamic is going to continue to grow. And then the porch pirate dynamic, when you consider that, when people are living in apartments or condos or townhouses, when they're not working, they're working outside the home all day, and products are dropped off on their front porch. People, it's too easy. It's too easy for these thieves and these criminals to take products off your front porch. So how is e-com going to develop, and how is retail going to develop this to stop this kind of alarming trend?
I have a theory, is like, I'm sure you've seen that the Ring, which is owned by Amazon, is pretty much everywhere. And there's a lot of theft that are actually being caught by that. At some point, this is going to be so big that people are going to be maybe okay with facial recognition. And this is going to be a game changer, because I don't like, here in my neighborhood, I think all my neighbors have a Ring, and it's all controlled by Amazon. So at some point, Amazon is going to say, hey, we're going to give you a discount if you activate that, because they are not going to continue paying, especially when that recently Amazon started to charge for return. They are trying to crack on this thing. I don't know. I just feel that, I don't think it was a play that they anticipated, but having the Ring is certainly an asset that they have and can control. I don't know. I just feel that maybe something that's coming. I don't know. We'll see that in a couple months.
Yeah, loss prevention for companies is a real thing, and this is part of the dynamic. I'm very familiar with Ring. Ring sells on QVC and has done so very successfully for years and years. I'm in the same boat. My neighborhood, many people have some kind of camera scenario outside their home. But even with cameras, my father had a product stolen from his front porch during the fourth quarter, and the kid, it was a kid, he was on and off his porch in about 3 seconds. And I said, were you home? And my father was home. He's like, was there a car there? He's like, nope. He ran like across the neighborhood, like immediately after he took the product. There was no like getaway car kind of a scenario. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how to stop it, but to your point, companies have to start thinking about it. Companies like Amazon could be the front runners in trying to control it. And in reality, if you're working through e-commerce, if you're you're buying product through ecom, you need to consider some kind of security cameras just to protect yourself from porch pirates like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like someone like me that order a bunch of crap on Amazon, they can steal it. It's like, well, it's gonna be painful for me, but it's probably gonna be painful for them as well. Like, what are we gonna do with this? It's like,
I know,
it's so crazy.
I know.
So
before we go,
your,
we got one. I got a quick
ahead.
shout out. The Scarlett Johansson, who is a famous actress in the U.S., very well known. She came out with a beauty brand a couple of years ago, and she's launching on QVC on Monday night. So it's called The Outset, and the brand's launching. It's a skincare brand. QVC is really excited about it. Anyone that works through QVC, I think, would be excited about it. It's going to bring a lot of new names, a lot of eyeballs to the screen. So I'm excited to see what The Outset does in this commerce space at QVC, and as it continues to grow in e-com and in retail.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. I'm curious to see as well. For my special shout out, Extremely will be, and I will be at NRF coming up. So this is the show that is in New York. This is the National Retail Federation. There's their big show. I think that's what they call it. We'll have a booth, the 754. If you want to come and catch up and say hi, we will be there. I will be there. So I'd love to see you all. I think it's going to be a great show as well for any folks that are currently interested about the space of retail and wants to review special info. I do have 2 free pass. So if you're interested, please DM me and I can actually send you a pass. You will have an Extremely tag on it, but if you want to check it out and say hi as well, I would be happy to do that. So the show is on the 14th. I think it's starting on the 14th of January, which is a Saturday, but the real show actually is on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So hit me up if you're interested.
Wonderful, Nicholas. Wonderful.
All right.
Well, another great conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and for the listeners, we will be back here on Friday, 11 a.m. This time we'll be on time, hopefully. We'll see. As usual, please, if you like this episode, please let us know. Share with your friend. Tell anyone you think you should know about. But also tell us what we should be doing better. We're considering some guests maybe on the show, so let us know if you know anyone that could be a great fit for us. As usual, thanks everyone for being here. Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.